me tell you something. There comes a time when you have to wake up and realize that being the nice girl isn't getting you anywhere. You keep bending over backward, stretching yourself thin, smiling when you don't feel like smiling, agreeing when your heart is screaming no, and thinking that if you just give a little more, love a little harder, sacrifice a little deeper, then maybe, just maybe, people will appreciate you. Maybe they'll love you back. Maybe they'll treat you the way you deserve. But the hard truth is, that's not how the world works. The more you give, the more they take. The more you sacrifice, the more they expect. And the moment you stop, the moment you need something in return, that's when you find out you were never really seen, never truly valued, just conveniently used. You see, life doesn't reward the ones who let themselves be walked over. It doesn't bless the ones who keep making excuses for other people's disrespect. It's not the girl who constantly makes herself small, who bites her tongue, who lets things slide. No, she doesn't get the respect she longs for. She gets overlooked. She gets dismissed. She gets drained. And she spends her nights wondering why no one ever shows up for her the way she shows up for them. But I need you to hear me tonight. This is not about them. It's about you. It's about what you allow, what you tolerate, what you keep telling yourself is okay, when deep down, it's not. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being nice meant being quiet, that being kind meant never speaking up, that love meant enduring whatever came your way. But I came to shake you out of that lie. That is not love. That is not kindness. That is not strength. It is a slow erosion of your worth. And I don't know who needs to hear this tonight, but your worth is not in how much pain you can endure. Your worth is not in how much you can give before you break. Your worth is not in how much you can shrink yourself to fit into someone else's life. There's a difference between being a good woman and being a doormat. A good woman has boundaries. A good woman knows her value. A good woman walks with her head held high, not because she's arrogant, but because she understands that her kindness is a gift, not a debt she owes to the world. And if you don't get that right, if you don't learn to draw the line, then you will keep attracting people who see your goodness as something to use, not something to cherish. Some of you have been saying, I don't know why they treat me this way. I don't know why they always take advantage of me. But let me tell you something. You teach people how to treat you. If you keep making excuses for disrespect, they'll keep disrespecting you. If you keep overextending yourself, they'll keep expecting it. If you keep settling for less, they'll never offer you more. This isn't about them changing. It's about you changing. It's about you deciding that you are no longer available for one-sided relationships, for people who only call you when they need something, for situations that drain you more than they fill you. Some of you have spent years carrying other people's burdens, holding their pain, fixing their messes, and losing yourself in the process. But what about you? What about your dreams? What about your happiness? What about the life you were meant to live? You were not put here just to be a background character in somebody else's story. You were not created just to be a stepping stone for somebody else's journey. You have a voice. There is nothing wrong with being kind. There's nothing wrong with being compassionate. But kindness without boundaries is self-betrayal. Love without standards is self-destruction. And if you don't respect yourself enough to say, I deserve better, then don't expect anyone else to. You've got to stop waiting for people to see your worth and start walking in it. Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop overextending yourself for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. Stop making your presence an open invitation to those who have proven they don't value it. The moment you decide to stop being the nice girl, the one who says yes when she means no, the one who tolerates nonsense just to keep the peace, the one who gives her all and gets crumbs in return, that is the moment your life changes. That is the moment you take your power back. That is the moment you step into who you were always meant to be. Let me tell you something. Respect is not something you hand out like candy. It is not something you give away freely, hoping that one day people will return the favor. No, respect is earned. It is built on strength, on self-worth, on the quiet confidence of knowing who you are and refusing to be anything less. But too many of you have been told that being nice will make people respect you, that being agreeable will make people value you, that if you just give and give and give, one day they'll finally see your worth. But the hard truth is, the more you hand over your respect without requiring anything in return, the less people will give it back to you. Some of you are wondering why people keep taking advantage of you, why they keep walking all over you, why they keep treating you like an afterthought instead of a priority. But hear me tonight. You have been too available. You have been too accommodating. You have let people come and go in your life as they please without setting any standards, without requiring any level of decency, without demanding the respect you deserve. And let me tell you something, when you give yourself away too easily, people start believing they don't have to work for you. A woman who carries herself with dignity doesn't have to beg for respect. She doesn't have to plead for someone to see her value. She moves with purpose. She speaks with authority. She does not entertain foolishness. And when someone tries to play with her worth, she doesn't argue, she doesn't chase, she doesn't demand, she just walks away. Because she understands something that too many of you have forgotten. The moment you allow disrespect, you invite it into your life. Some of you have been making excuses for people who have shown you who they are. You say, oh, they didn't mean it like that. Oh, maybe they're just having a bad day. Oh, if I just love them harder, maybe they'll change. Let me make something real clear. Disrespect doesn't need to be explained away. If someone truly values you, they will show it. They will be intentional. They will be consistent. They will make sure that their actions match their words. And if they don't, if they keep testing your boundaries, if they keep pushing you to see how much you tolerate, if they keep treating you like an option instead of a priority, then you don't sit there and beg them to change. You show them the door. You see, when you carry yourself with strength, when you stop tolerating nonsense, when you demand respect, something shifts. People start recognizing that you are not someone to be played with. They start seeing that if they want access to you, they have to bring something real to the table. They have to come correct, or they don't come at all. And I need you to hear me when I say this. You set the tone for how people treat you. If you keep tolerating inconsistency, you will keep getting inconsistency. If you keep allowing disrespect, you will keep receiving disrespect. If you keep lowering your standards just to keep people around, then don't be surprised when they treat you like you're disposable. There is power in knowing your worth. There is power in standing your ground. There is power in looking someone in the eye and saying, I am not the one. And I need some of you to tap into that power, because for too long you have been settling for less than you deserve. You have been shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. You have been softening your voice so you don't seem too much. But let me tell you something. Anyone who can handle your strength, anyone who gets intimidated by your confidence, anyone who tries to break you down instead of build you up, they were never for you in the first place. A woman who understands her value does not lose sleep over people who don't respect her. She does not waste her time trying to convince someone to treat her right. She does not chase after love after friendship, after validation, because she understands that what is meant for her will never require her to beg. So I need you to stop handing out respect like it's free. Stop entertaining people who do not honor you. Stop hoping that if you just keep being nice, one day they'll see your worth. That's not how this works. Respect is not given away. It is earned. And the first person who needs to start earning your respect is you. Let me tell you something. There is a difference between being kind and being weak. Some of you have spent your whole lives trying to be the nice girl, the agreeable one, the one who never makes waves. You've been told that if you're just kind enough, patient enough, understanding enough, then people will see your heart. They will cherish you. They will treat you the way you deserve. But let's be real. Has that ever truly worked? Have you ever given and given and given only to find yourself exhausted, overlooked, and disrespected? See, the problem is not your kindness. The problem is the way you've been using it. Kindness is not about making yourself small. It is not about letting people walk over you. It is not about constantly giving without ever receiving. And it sure isn't about allowing yourself to be mistreated just so you can prove that you have a good heart. No, that is not kindness. That is fear. That is insecurity. That is the belief that if you don't overextend yourself, if you don't break yourself for others, then somehow you won't be worthy of love. But I need you to hear me tonight. You are not here to be anybody's doormat. You are not here to be used. You are not here to spend your life proving your worth to people who don't even appreciate it. Some of you have confused kindness with being passive. You think that keeping the peace means staying silent when you should speak up. You think that being loving means tolerating behavior that is beneath you. You think that if you just give a little more, then maybe, just maybe, people will finally treat you right. But let me ask you something. How many times have you let things slide only for people to keep pushing your boundaries? How many times have you forgiven and excused and overlooked only to find yourself feeling resentful, feeling used, feeling invisible? That's not kindness. That's a lack of self-respect. See, real kindness is built on strength. It is built on confidence. It is built on knowing who you are and refusing to compromise that for anybody. A truly kind woman does not tolerate nonsense. She does not entertain disrespect. She does not allow herself to be drained by people who only take. No, because she understands that her kindness is a gift, not a weakness. She understands that her heart is precious and she is careful about who she gives it to. Some of you have been bending over backward for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. You have been carrying relationships, friendships, jobs, situations that are weighing you down, all in the name of being a good person. But let me tell you something. A good person has boundaries. A good person knows how to say no. A good person does not destroy herself trying to build everyone else up. And if you don't start learning the difference between kindness and weakness, you are going to keep attracting the wrong people into your life. People can sense when you don't value yourself. They can see when you're willing to be walked over. And the ones who are looking to take advantage, they will. They will take everything you have to give and then leave you empty. And when you finally stand up for yourself, when you finally draw a line, oh, they'll call you selfish. They'll call you mean. They'll say you've changed. But let me tell you, that is not your problem. That is their reaction to losing control over you. Because the moment you stop tolerating nonsense, the moment you stop seeking validation from the wrong people, is the moment they realize they can no longer use you. And I know some of you feel guilty for choosing yourself. You feel guilty for saying no. You feel guilty for not always being available. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you put yourself first? When was the last time you made decisions that actually made you happy? When was the last time you walked away from something that no longer served you without feeling bad about it? Because that is what real kindness looks like. It is not about giving until you are empty. Me tonight. Stop confusing kindness with weakness. Stop allowing people to mistake your patience for passivity. Stop thinking that being nice means being a pushover. Because a truly strong woman is both kind and firm, both loving and unshakable, both compassionate and fearless. And the moment you step into that, the moment you realize that your worth does not come from how much you endure, but from how much you respect yourself, that is the moment you stop being taken for granted. That is the moment you take your power back. There comes a time in your life when you have to stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds about you. You have to stop trying to prove who you are to people who refuse to see it. Some of you have been bending over backward, exhausting yourself, trying to get people to understand you, to respect you, to value you. But let me tell you something. If someone cannot recognize your worth on their own, there is nothing you can do, nothing you can say, no amount of effort you can put in that will force them to see it. You are not here to beg for understanding. You are not here to convince anyone of your value. See, people will believe what they want to believe. You will be trapped in a cycle of over-explaining, of over-proving, of seeking approval from people who were never meant to be part of your destiny in the first place. Some of you are so afraid of being misunderstood that you shrink yourselves. You hold back your truth. You keep quiet when you should speak up. You tone yourself down just to make other people comfortable. But let me tell you something. People who are committed to misunderstanding you will never hear you no matter how many times you try to explain. You can lay it all out. You can break it down piece by piece. You can give them all the reasons, all the facts, all the explanations, and still they will believe what they want to believe. And you know what? That is not your burden to carry. Some of you have spent too much time and too much energy trying to fix people's perceptions of you. You have been trying to rewrite the narrative, trying to make sure no one has the wrong idea, trying to control how people see you. But you have to understand, what people think of you is not your business. How they choose to interpret your actions, what they say about you behind closed doors, the assumptions they make, that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. And the moment you let go of that need to be understood by everyone is the moment you set yourself free. Some of you are stuck in relationships, in friendships, in jobs where you feel like you constantly have to explain yourself. You constantly have to prove that you're good enough, that you're worthy, that you're not what they think you are. But let me ask you something. Why are you fighting so hard for a seat at a table that was never meant for you? Why are you exhausting yourself trying to be accepted by people who do not even appreciate you? If someone truly values you, if someone genuinely respects you, they will not need endless explanations to see your heart. They will not require constant convincing to believe in your intentions. They will not make you jump through hoops just to receive their understanding. No. Because when someone truly sees you, they see your character, they see your integrity, they see your actions, and that is enough. And let me make something real clear. Walking away from people who refuse to understand you does not mean you are bitter. It does not mean you are angry. It does not mean you are holding on to resentment. It means you are no longer willing to fight for a place in someone's life who does not even recognize your value. It means you have finally realized that your peace is more important than their approval. It means you have decided that your energy will no longer be wasted on people who refuse to see beyond their own limited perception. The moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop seeking validation, the moment you release the need to be understood by everyone is the moment you take your power back. Because the truth is, the right people will never need a long explanation. The right people will never question your worth. The right people will know your heart without you having to convince them. And those are the only people you need to focus on. Let me tell you something. There is power in walking away. There is power in knowing when something no longer serves you, when something no longer adds value to your life, when something is draining the very essence of who you are. But some of you have been holding on to people, to relationships, to situations that are breaking you instead of building you. You have convinced yourself that if you just try a little harder, if you just love a little deeper, if you just give a little more, then somehow things will change. But deep down, you already know the truth. Some people are not meant to stay. Some connections are not meant to last. And some seasons are meant to end. But instead of letting go, you cling. You hold on out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of what people will say, fear that maybe, just maybe, you're the one who is wrong. But let me ask you something. How much longer will you ignore what your soul already knows? How much longer will you let your spirit ache while your heart keeps making excuses? Because the truth is, when something is not meant for you, no amount of force, no amount of fixing, no amount of effort will make it fit. Some of you have people in your life who only take. They take your energy, they take your kindness, they take your love, they take your time. But what do they give? What do they pour back into you? You are pouring into empty cups, hoping that one day they will turn around and do the same for you. But they won't. Because the people who truly value you will never let you keep giving without receiving. They will never sit back and watch you drain yourself just to keep them comfortable. They will never expect you to sacrifice your peace just so they can maintain theirs. And yet here you are making excuses, telling yourself, maybe if I just give them one more chance, maybe if I just prove my worth to them, maybe if I just keep being patient one day, they'll wake up and treat me the way I deserve. But hear me when I say this. You cannot make someone appreciate you. You cannot force someone to love you the way you love them. You cannot beg someone to see your value when they are determined to overlook it. And the longer you stay in places where you are not cherished, the more you are teaching yourself that you are not worthy of more. Some of you are afraid to walk away because you think leaving means you failed. You think letting go means you gave up. But let me tell you something. Leaving is not failure, it is wisdom. Walking away is not weakness, it is power. Letting go is not quitting, it is choosing yourself. And if you are the only one fighting, the only one investing, the only one carrying the weight of a relationship, then you are not in a partnership, you are in bondage. You are encouragement. Stop fighting to keep people in your life who are comfortable losing you. Stop trying to convince someone to treat you better when their actions have already proven they won't. Stop betraying yourself just to hold on to people who would not do the same for you. Because the truth is, the moment you let go, the moment you release what is draining you, the moment you choose yourself, is the moment you make room for something better. And I know it's hard, it's painful, it's terrifying, because when you've built your world around someone, when you've poured so much into a relationship, when you've given years, tears, effort, and love, walking away feels like losing a part of yourself. But listen to me. You are not losing anything that was meant for you. You are not missing out on something that was truly yours. You are not walking away from love. You are walking away from the illusion of it. Some of you have been waiting for permission to leave. You've been waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to walk away, okay to put yourself first, okay to finally break free. Well, let me be the one to tell you, you do not need permission to prioritize your peace. You do not need approval to protect your heart. You do not need validation to choose yourself. You have stayed long enough. You have tried long enough. You have given enough. Now it is time to do what you should have done a long time ago. Let go and move forward. Some of you have been giving people unlimited access to your life who have done nothing to deserve it. You have been opening doors for people who only come to take, drain, and disrupt your peace. You have been allowing people to walk in and out of your life like it's a revolving door, showing up when they need something, disappearing when they don't, treating you as an option while you treat them as a priority, and yet you keep allowing it. You keep excusing it. You keep telling yourself, maybe this time will be different. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt me. Maybe I'm expecting too much. But let me ask you something. How much longer will you keep lowering your standards to accommodate people who refuse to rise to them? Some of you are afraid to set boundaries because you think if you start saying no, people will leave. You think if you stop being available 24/7, if you stop overextending, if you stop giving beyond your capacity, then people won't want to be around you anymore. But hear me, you should not have to overgive, overprove, or over-sacrifice just to be loved. Real love, real respect, real relationships do not require you to lose yourself just to keep them. And if someone only stays when you are overextending yourself, if someone only values you if someone only appreciates you when you are people-pleasing, then they do not love you. They love what they can get from you. Some of you have trained people to believe that they can do whatever they want and you'll still be there. They can disrespect you, they can ignore your needs, they can take advantage of your kindness, and you will still show up. You will still answer their calls. You will still be available at their convenience. And do you know why? Because you have not set the standard for how you should be treated. You have not drawn the line on what you will and will not tolerate. You have not made it clear that you are not someone who can be used, manipulated, or taken for granted. But I need you to understand something. You teach people how to treat you by what you accept, what you tolerate, and what you allow. Some of you are long overdue for cutting some people off. Not because you don't love them, not because you don't care, but because they have made it clear through their actions, through their words, through their inconsistency, that they do not value you. And every time you continue to let them in, every time you make excuses for them, every time you ignore the red flags, you are sending a message that you accept being treated like an afterthought. But hear me.
There's a trap that so many of us fall into, and it's the need for validation. We want people to see our progress, to acknowledge our hard work, to approve of the choices we make. But the truth is, the moment you start depending on outside approval, you give away your power. You allow others to dictate how you feel about yourself, and that's a dangerous way to live. Because the same people who clap for you today might ignore you tomorrow. And if your confidence is built on their applause, what happens when the clapping stops? That's why the most important thing you can do is focus on yourself. Not in a selfish way, but in a way that makes you better every single day. See, when you make yourself the priority, you stop worrying about what everyone else is doing. You stop chasing people who don't appreciate you. You stop explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, you turn all that energy inward, where it actually makes a difference. It's easy to get caught up in what other people think. Maybe you've got big dreams, but You're afraid to take the first step because you don't know how people will react. Maybe you're trying to improve yourself, but every time you make progress, someone has something negative to say. Let me tell you something. People will always have opinions. They will always have something to say. But opinions don't pay your bills. They don't put food on your table, and they certainly don't determine your worth. The moment you start prioritizing your growth over their validation, you become unstoppable. You stop looking around wondering if people notice your progress. You stop posting every move you make just to prove you're doing something. You stop living for the approval of people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Instead, you develop discipline. You wake up every day and put in the work, not because someone is watching, but because you know it's necessary. There's power in moving in silence. When you're focused on yourself, you don't have to announce every goal, every plan, every success. You just keep working, you just keep growing, and before you know it, the results speak for themselves. The people who doubted you, they'll see it. The ones who didn't believe in you, they'll see it. But by then, their opinion won't even matter because you didn't do it for them. You did it for yourself. And let me tell you something else. When you truly focus on yourself, you develop a level of peace that no one can shake. You're no longer controlled by other people's judgments. You don't feel the need to explain yourself. You don't get caught up in unnecessary arguments trying to prove your worth. You just exist in your own power, knowing that your value doesn't decrease because someone else fails to see it. So I want you to ask yourself, are you living for them or are you living for you? Are you making choices based on what you truly want, or are you adjusting yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be? Because at the end of the day, you are the one who has to live with the decisions you make. You are the one who has to look in the mirror and be proud of the person staring back. No one else. It's time to stop seeking permission to be great. Stop waiting for someone to recognize your potential before you take action. Stop expecting people to clap for you before you decide to believe in yourself. If you want to grow, grow. If you want to change your life, change it. Don't waste another second waiting for someone else to validate your dreams. You are enough, and the only approval you will ever truly need is your own. Silence is one of the most underrated strengths a person can have, but in a world where everyone wants to be heard, where people feel the need to announce every thought, every move, every opinion, silence has become rare. We live in a time where people believe that if they don't talk about what they're doing, it must not be happening. But real power doesn't come from talking. It comes from doing. It comes from knowing when to speak and, more importantly, when to stay quiet. There's something about silence that makes people uncomfortable. They mistake it for weakness, for insecurity, for a lack of confidence. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Silence is a strategy. Silence is discipline. Silence is knowing that not everything needs to be shared, that not every move needs an announcement, that not every opinion deserves a response. When you learn how to control your words, you gain control over your life. The problem is people love noise. They love drama. They love attention, and so many fall into the trap of thinking they need to explain themselves to everyone, prove themselves to people who don't even matter, or respond to every piece of negativity that comes their way. But let me tell you something. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. The people who truly matter will see your progress without you having to say a word. And the ones who don't, well, they were never really paying attention anyway. There's a reason the most successful people in the world don't spend their time arguing online. They don't waste their energy proving themselves to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. They don't announce every step they take because they know that real success is built in silence. It's built in those quiet moments when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even knows what's happening. That's where real growth happens. But some of you are letting the need for validation slow you down. You want people to see what you're doing. You want them to acknowledge your effort, and when they don't, you start to doubt yourself. But the truth is, their approval is not required for you to succeed. You don't need to broadcast your every move to prove you're making progress. The work will speak for itself when the time is right. Some things in life should be protected. Your plans, your growth, your dreams. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your emotions, your next move. Sometimes the best thing you can do is keep things to yourself. Because the moment you start telling everyone what you're working on, you invite opinions, doubts, negativity, and distractions, and some of those voices will plant seeds of doubt in your mind before you even get started. Have you ever noticed that the people who talk the most usually accomplish the least? That's because they spend all their energy trying to convince people of their potential instead of actually doing the work. But when you move in silence, when you focus on execution instead of explanation, you free yourself from that trap. You stop worrying about who believes in you. You stop looking for applause. You just do the work, and when you do that consistently, the results will be so undeniable that you won't have to say a thing. See, when you master the art of silence, you become unpredictable. People don't know what you're up to. They can't interfere with your plans. They can't sabotage what they don't see coming, and that gives you an advantage. Because while they're busy talking, you're busy building. While they're distracted by noise, you're making progress in peace. Silence doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're afraid. It means you understand that words don't create success, action does. It means you know that not every battle is worth fighting, that not every opinion deserves a response, that not every move needs an announcement. It means you trust yourself enough to know that what's meant for you will come, whether people see it coming or not. One of the biggest traps in life is comparison. It sneaks up on you when you least expect it. You could be feeling good about yourself, proud of your progress, and then suddenly you see someone else doing better, moving faster, achieving more, and just like that, your confidence starts to crack. You start questioning yourself, wondering if you're behind, if you're not good enough, if you should be doing more. But let me tell you something, comparison is a distraction. And if you let it, it will rob you of your focus, your energy, and your joy. The truth is, no two people have the same journey. You weren't meant to follow someone else's timeline. You weren't meant to have the same success, the same struggles, or the same breakthroughs as the person next to you. And yet so many people waste time measuring themselves against others instead of focusing on their own path. They look at someone else's success and start feeling like they're failing. They see what someone else has, and suddenly what they have doesn't feel like enough. But the problem isn't that they're lacking, it's that they're looking in the wrong direction. When you spend your time comparing yourself to others, you take your eyes off your own progress. You stop seeing how far you've come because you're too busy watching someone else's highlight reel. And let's be honest, people only show you what they want you to see. Social media makes it even worse. You're not seeing the late nights, the failures, the doubts, the moments of struggle. You're seeing the polished version, the best parts, the finished product. And if you compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, you will always feel like you're not enough. That's why you have to discipline your mind to stay focused on your own path. It doesn't matter what someone else is doing. It doesn't matter how fast they're moving or how successful they seem. What matters is that you're growing, that you're improving, that you're becoming better than you were yesterday. Because at the end of the day, the only person you should be competing with is yourself. Some of you are holding yourselves back because you're too focused on the wrong things. You're looking around, checking to see who's ahead, who's behind, who's watching. But none of that matters. What someone else is doing has nothing to do with your journey. Your path is yours alone. And the moment you start truly focusing on yourself, everything changes. You stop feeling the pressure to prove something. You stop chasing things just because other people have them. You stop living by someone else's definition of success and start creating your own. But that takes discipline. It takes being intentional about where you place your energy. It takes reminding yourself that just because someone else is winning doesn't mean you're losing. Life is not a race. There is no deadline for success. You are not late, you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. Think about this. When runners are in a race, the moment they start looking to the side to see where their competitors are, they slow down. Their form breaks. Their momentum shifts. They lose focus. Why? Because they stopped running their race and started worrying about someone else's. That's exactly what happens when you let comparison take over. You slow down, you lose momentum. You start making decisions based on what other people are doing instead of what's actually right for you. But when you stay in your lane, when you keep your eyes forward and your mind focused, you move differently. You stop letting outside distractions dictate your pace. You start trusting that what's meant for you will come in its own time. You start understanding that success isn't about being first, it's about being consistent. So today I want you to make a decision to stop looking around and start looking within, a decision to stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against who you were yesterday. Because at the end of the day, the only competition that truly matters is the one between you and your own potential. And if you can wake up every day and say, I'm better than I was yesterday, then you are already winning. Energy is one of the most valuable things you have, and yet too many people waste it on things that don't matter. They waste it on arguments that lead nowhere, on proving themselves to people who don't even care, on holding on to things that should have been let go a long time ago. But when you start to understand just how precious your energy is, you start to protect it. You stop giving it away so easily. You become intentional about where it goes, who gets access to it, and what you allow to take up space in your mind. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment needs a response. Not every situation requires your involvement. Some of you are exhausted, not because you're working hard on your goals, but because you're spending too much time dealing with things that don't serve you. You let small distractions pull you away from what actually matters. You let negativity enter your space when it should have been ignored. You engage in conversations that drain you instead of uplift you, and then you wonder why you feel stuck, why you feel like you're running in circles. It's not that you're incapable, it's that you're spending your energy in all the wrong places. The truth is, not everyone deserves access to you. Just because someone demands your time doesn't mean you have to give it. Just because someone questions your choices doesn't mean you have to explain yourself. You don't owe the world an explanation for how you choose to live your life. Some things are meant to be handled in silence. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some people are only there to distract you, to test you, to pull you off course. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself spending more time dealing with them than building yourself. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Some people spend their entire lives being busy, but they never move forward. They're always caught up in something, always involved in drama, always reacting to every little thing that comes their way. But at the end of the day, they have nothing to show for it. No progress, no peace, no real growth. And that's because they never learned how to protect their energy. They let too many things drain them, and by the time they get around to their own goals, they have nothing left to give. But when you start being selective, when you start choosing where your energy goes, everything changes. You stop entertaining meaningless distractions. You stop allowing people to pull you into their chaos. You stop explaining yourself to those who were never really listening in the first place. You start moving differently. You start protecting your space. And most importantly, you start making real progress. People will always have opinions. They will always have something to say about what you're doing, how you're doing it, and whether or not they think you'll succeed. But their opinions don't determine your reality. Their words don't dictate your future. And the moment you realize that, you free yourself. You stop wasting time trying to change their minds. You stop trying to convince people to see your worth. You stop handing over your energy to things that don't build you. Instead, you redirect that energy where it belongs, on yourself, on your growth, on the things that actually move you forward. You start putting your time into your goals, into your peace, into your progress. You stop reacting to every little thing and start responding only to the things that truly matter. You develop a level of discipline that allows you to stay focused no matter what's happening around you. And let me tell you something, when you start moving like that, people will notice. They may not understand it at first. They may wonder why you've stopped engaging in nonsense, why you no longer explain yourself, why you don't react the way you used to. But eventually they'll see it. They'll see the growth. They'll see the peace. They'll see the results that come when you stop wasting your energy and start using it wisely. So from this moment forward, I want you to guard your energy like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Be intentional, be selective, and most of all, be focused. Because when you learn to protect your energy, nothing and no one can stop you from becoming exactly who you were meant to be. A lot of people want success, but not everyone is willing to stay consistent. They get excited about a new goal, a new plan, a new vision for their life. But when the excitement fades, so does their effort. They start strong, but the moment things get difficult, the moment progress isn't happening as fast as they want, they slow down. They start looking for shortcuts, for quick results, for an easier way. But real success doesn't come from doing something once in a while. It comes from showing up every single day, even when no one is watching, even when no one is clapping, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The people who truly succeed in life aren't the ones who talk the most. They aren't the ones who make the biggest announcements, who tell everyone what they're going to do. They're the ones who work in silence. The ones who commit to the process even when it's hard. The ones who show up for themselves day in and day out without needing outside validation, because they understand that consistency is the secret. It's not about big moves. It's about small, disciplined actions repeated over time. But too many people want results without the discipline. They want success without the sacrifice. They want to skip the hard part and jump straight to the reward. And when it doesn't happen fast enough, they start making excuses. They start blaming circumstances, blaming other people, blaming everything but themselves. But the truth is, success doesn't work like that. You don't get to skip the process. You don't get to avoid the work. You either stay consistent or you stay in the same place. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone start something full of motivation only to quit a few weeks later? How many times have you yourself committed to something only to let it fade when life got in the way? That's the difference between those who make it and those who don't. The ones who make it don't rely on motivation because motivation comes and goes. They rely on discipline. They rely on habits. They rely on the understanding that success is built in the moments when you don't feel like showing up, but you do it anyway. Some of you are sitting on dreams that could change your life, but you're waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right circumstances. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, next week, next year, but deep down you know the truth. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect moment. The only thing that matters is what you do right now. And if you're not willing to stay consistent in the present, you'll never see the future you want. You have to move in silence. Stop announcing every plan, every goal, every step you're going to take. Stop looking for validation before you even begin. Just do the work. Because when you talk too much, you give people the opportunity to plant doubt in your mind. You open the door for distractions. You start seeking approval instead of focusing on execution. But when you move in silence, when you stay locked in on your goals, no one can interfere with your progress. Let me tell you something. People will notice your results before they notice your effort. That's just how the world works. They won't see the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices you make. They won't see the days you wanted to quit but kept going anyway. But one day when the results start showing, when your consistency starts paying off, they'll wonder how you did it. They'll think it happened overnight. They won't realize it was the work you put in when no one was watching that made all the difference. And that's why you have to stay consistent, even when it feels like no one cares, even when it feels like no one sees you. Because the truth is, the process will always test you before it rewards you. It will ask you how bad you really want it. It will push you to keep going when it would be easier to quit. And if you can stay consistent through the hard days, through the days when nothing seems to be working, through the moments of doubt, then success is inevitable. So whatever it is you're working on, whatever goal, whatever dream, stay consistent. Keep moving in silence. Keep showing up even when it's hard. Because one day the work you're putting in right now will speak so loudly that you won't have to say a single word. Most people don't realize how much noise surrounds them every single day. Noise from opinions, from distractions, from doubts, from unnecessary conversations. And if you're not careful, that noise will drown out your own voice. It will pull you in 100 different directions until you forget why you even started. That's why at some point you have to shut it all out. You have to make the decision to block out the distractions, to separate yourself from the things and people that do nothing but slow you down. Because if you don't, you will spend your entire life reacting instead of creating, listening instead of leading, following instead of building. The truth is, not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Not everyone will support what you're doing. Some people won't believe in you. Some people will doubt you. Some people will even try to discourage you, not because they truly know what's best for you, but because they don't have the courage to do what you're doing. And when they see you growing, when they see you breaking free from the limits they've accepted for themselves, it makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to question their own choices. And instead of rising higher, They try to bring you down to their level, but that is not your concern. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You do not need permission to become who you were meant to be. Some of you are carrying the weight of other people's expectations, other people's doubts, other people's fears, and it's slowing you down. You're hesitating, second-guessing, overthinking because you're too worried about what people will say. But let me tell you something. What they think does not matter. They are not the ones who will have to live with the consequences of your choices. You are. And if you spend your life trying to make everyone else comfortable, you will never fully step into your own potential. That's why you have to learn to move in silence, to keep your vision protected, to stop allowing outside voices to control your direction, because when you start to elevate, distractions will increase. The more you grow, the more people will have opinions about what you should or shouldn't be doing. And if you give them too much attention, you'll start adjusting your actions to fit their expectations instead of your own purpose. But the people who truly succeed in life, the ones who reach their full potential, they understand something most people don't. They understand that silence is power, that discipline is stronger than approval, that true focus comes from shutting out the unnecessary. They know that their success does not depend on being understood by everyone, and so they keep moving forward, even when no one else sees the vision. Some of you have dreams so big that they scare you. And because they scare you, you look for reassurance. You want someone to tell you that you're on the right track. You want confirmation before you take the next step. But let me ask you something. If the people around you can't see what you see, if they don't believe what you believe, what happens when that confirmation never comes? Do you stop? Do you shrink your vision to fit their small perspective? Or do you keep going even if no one else understands? You cannot afford to wait for validation. You cannot afford to slow down just because the people around you don't get it yet. You have to be willing to move forward, even in silence, even in uncertainty, even when no one else believes, because belief starts with you. No one will take you seriously until you take yourself seriously. No one will trust your vision until you trust it first. And the more you rely on external validation, the weaker your foundation becomes. That's why it's so important to be intentional about what you listen to. If you surround yourself with people who doubt, who hesitate, who always see the worst-case scenario, that mindset will rub off on you. But if you surround yourself with discipline, with focus, with the kind of silence that builds, you will move differently. You will carry yourself with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to be explained. At the end of the day, your life is your responsibility, your success, your growth, your peace. It all depends on the choices you make, and one of the most powerful choices you can make is to shut out the distractions, to stop seeking approval, and to move with purpose. Because when you do that, nothing and no one can stop you. At the end of the day, your journey is yours alone. The distractions, the opinions, the comparisons, none of it truly matters. What matters is your focus, your discipline, your ability to move forward even when no one else understands. The world is full of noise, but the ones who rise above it are those who learn to stay silent, to protect their energy, and to work in the shadows until their success speaks for itself. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need validation to be great. What you need is consistency, resilience, and the courage to stay committed when the results aren't immediate. So stop looking around. Stop explaining yourself. Stop waiting for approval. Focus on yourself. Move in silence. Because when you do, your growth will be undeniable. And one day the world won't be able to ignore the person you've become.